12 years of independence, 12 years of freedom. I thought I was finally done with my family's financial mess. But a call from my sister shattered everything. She needed my help. And the price was my peace. My name is Sarah Collins. And this is the story of how my life fell apart because I was forced to pay my sister's $40,000 debt. After 12 years of living on my own terms. It wasn't supposed to end like this. For 12 years, I had built a life that was mine, free from the chaos, the drama, and the constant need to fix things that were never mine to fix. My name is Sarah Collins, and I thought I had escaped the web of family problems. I had moved to a new city, far from the familiar, noisy chaos of my childhood home. I had my own apartment, a steady job, and for the first time in years, I felt free. Growing up, my sister Rachel and I had always shared a complicated relationship. We were close in the sense that siblings are sharing the same roof, the same childhood memories, the same struggles. But we were also opposites in many ways. I was the responsible one, the caretaker, the one who held everything together when our parents were overwhelmed by their own problems. Rachel, on the other hand, was the wild one. She was unpredictable, carefree, and always seemed to be in some kind of trouble. But no matter what, I was always there for her, picking up the pieces when things fell apart. Looking back, I can see how much I did for her. I would lend her money to cover rent when she spent her paycheck on another impulsive decision. I bailed her out when she got into car accidents, and I helped her pay off overdue bills when her credit card bills piled up. At the time, I never thought much of it. She was my sister, and I loved her. But as the years went on, the pattern became clear. Rachel never learned from her mistakes. When I left for college, I thought I was leaving the chaos behind. I worked hard, got my degree, and started my career. Every time I went back home, the same old stories would play out. Rachel would be in trouble again, and I would be the one to save her. But slowly, I began to distance myself. I was tired of being the one who always had to put out the fire. Tired of seeing my life disrupted by Rachel's messes. I told myself, this time, I'm not getting involved. This time, it's different. For the next years, I made sure I set clear boundaries. I didn't pick up her calls as often. I didn't lend her money, and I started saying no. My friends often told me that I had every right to prioritize my own life, and I knew they were right. But it still hurt every time I said no. A little piece of me felt guilty, like I was turning my back on her. So when Rachel finally stopped reaching out, I thought maybe she had grown up. Maybe she had learned how to handle her own life. Maybe we were both finally free of the toxic dynamic that had been controlling us for years. But what I didn't know then was that the calm was only the calm before the storm. I should have known better. The thing about family is, it has a way of pulling you back in, no matter how far you run. And just when I thought I was free, my sister called me with a request that would change everything. The phone rang late one evening, and the moment I saw her name on the screen, my heart sank. The phone rang at an unexpected time late on a Thursday evening, when I was curled up on the couch, catching up on a new book I had been meaning to read. The last thing I wanted was to deal with anything related to my family. But when I saw Rachel's name flash on my screen, my stomach sank. I hadn't heard from her in months, and every time she called, it felt like a prelude to another crisis. But this time, I knew something was different. Sarah, I really need to talk to you. Her voice cracked through the line, thick with emotion. It wasn't the usual playful, carefree tone I was used to. This was something deeper, more desperate. I immediately sat up, my body going tense. I could hear her barely holding back tears, and it made me uneasy. What's going on, Rachel? I asked, trying to stay calm, even though my heart was already racing. I'm in trouble, she began, her voice shaking. It's bad, Sarah. I don't know what to do. I rubbed my temples, feeling the familiar frustration build. Rachel's life had always been a whirlwind of bad decisions. But this sounded different, more serious. The last time she had called me, it was to complain about a breakup with her boyfriend, another predictable situation. This didn't feel like that. What's going on? Rachel, just tell me. I tried to stay patient, but it was hard to ignore the sinking feeling in my chest. I need $40,000, she said in a rush, her words hitting me like a slap to the face. My mind immediately went blank. I thought I had misheard her. What? You need what? I owe this money, and if I don't pay it soon, they'll take everything. The house, the car, everything. She explained, each word more panicked than the last. I've been trying to fix it, but I can't do it alone. Please, Sarah. Please, I need you. I couldn't process what I was hearing. $40,000. I was shocked, but also so incredibly angry. Rachel, this doesn't make sense. How did you get yourself into this? How could you rack up that much debt? There was a long pause on the other end of the line. It's a long story. I didn't want to tell you like this, but I don't know who else to ask. Her voice wavered. I made some bad choices. Some investments, some loans, and now I'm stuck. I took a deep breath, my mind spinning. I had been here before years ago, when I had bailed her out of countless messes, big and small. Every time, there was a promise of change, of turning things around. But each time, she'd fallen back into the same patterns. Rachel, you've been in this situation before, I said, trying to hold my ground. You promised yourself that you'd start managing your life. This is too much. I can't keep doing this. I know, she sobbed, but this time it's different. I swear. Please, I'm begging you. I have no one else. If I don't pay, they'll come after everything I own. Please help me. Just this last time. I promise, I'll fix it. I swear I will. I could hear the sincerity in her voice. And then, I remembered something. The last time I had helped her, I had said the same thing, this is the last time. But now, here I was again, with the same heartbreaking request. I was torn between the sister I loved and the reality I had worked so hard to build. Was I really about to sacrifice everything I had for her mistakes? Could I live with myself if I didn't help? Sarah, please, she whispered again, barely audible through the tears. I'm so sorry. I swear. This is the last time. You're all I have. Her words cut through me. I had spent so many years building walls around myself to protect against exactly this, being dragged back into her world of chaos. But now, here I was, standing on the edge. I stayed silent for a moment, listening to her cry softly on the other end of the line. My heart was breaking for her, but a voice in my head was screaming, "Don't do it, Sarah. Don't fall for this again." But in the end, my love for her won out. Fine, I whispered, my voice shaky. I'll help you. But Rachel, this is the last time. You understand. I understand, she said quickly, relief flooding her voice. Thank you. Thank you so much. I promise, I'll pay you back. I felt the weight of my decision pressing down on me, the familiar anger rising in my chest. But there was also a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, this would finally be the last time. That my sister would learn, that she would change. But little did I know that this act of helping would be the beginning of a new, even darker chapter in my life. 2 weeks passed since I had agreed to help Rachel. 2 weeks of anxiety, mixed with moments of guilt, and a constant, nagging fear that I was making the same mistake again. I had given her the money, $40,000 of my savings that I had worked so hard for, and I told myself that if I didn't help, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. But the regret I felt wasn't about the money. It was about the way I was once again pulled into a web of lies, guilt, and betrayal. Rachel hadn't called me since the money was transferred. At first, I was relieved. I thought maybe she was finally taking responsibility. Maybe she was fixing the mess she had made. But then, her call came again. This time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to answer. I stared at my phone for a few moments, hesitating. I was so tired. Tired of being the one to clean up after her. Tired of always saying yes when everything in me screamed to say no. But I picked up the phone anyway, Sarah. Rachel's voice was quiet, nervous, as if she was trying to gauge my reaction. I need to tell you something about the debt. I froze. What now? I asked, the irritation in my voice sharper than I intended. I didn't want to hear another excuse or another story. I just wanted this to be over. I haven't been completely honest with you, she said, her words tumbling out in a rush. The $40,000, it wasn't just to pay off loans. It's about something bigger. A lot bigger. I sat up straighter, my pulse quickening. What are you talking about? You told me this was to pay off your debts. I got involved with some people, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Some guys. They promised me big returns. I invested the money you gave me into their business. But it was a scam, Sarah. The whole thing was a scam. I blinked, trying to process her words. You mean you used the money I gave you for another investment? Rachel, this isn't just about the debt anymore, is it? No, she said quickly, the guilt in her voice unmistakable. It was never just about the debt. It was about trying to fix everything, to get out of the mess I was in. But I should have told you. I should have been honest with you from the beginning. I could feel the rage building inside me. I had worked for years to build a life of independence. A life free from the toxic mess that was Rachel's existence. And now, I was once again caught in her destructive path. You didn't just lie to me, Rachel. You betrayed me, I said, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and disbelief. You asked me for money under false pretenses, and now I find out it was all for nothing. For nothing. I didn't know it was going to be a scam, she pleaded. I thought this time I'd finally get things right. But it all fell apart. And now, I'm stuck, Sarah. I don't know what to do. They're threatening to take everything. The people I borrowed from. They're not the kind of people you can just walk away from. Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. I had been naive. I had let myself believe that she could change. That this time, maybe, she would learn her lesson. But Rachel wasn't the same person I had hoped for. She was still the reckless, impulsive girl I had spent my entire childhood trying to fix. She hadn't learned anything. And now you want me to bail you out again? I asked, my voice sharp. You want me to fix your mess once more? After all of this, after you lied to me, you think I'm going to help you again? Rachel didn't answer right away. There was a long silence, and I could almost hear her crying softly on the other end of the line. I'm sorry, Sarah. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I never wanted to hurt you. I was just trying to get out of the hole I dug myself into. I sighed, feeling the weight of her words crash over me. I had always been the one to clean up her mess, always the one to forgive and forget. But this time, I couldn't. This time, it wasn't just about money, it was about my own sanity, my own well-being. I had been giving so much of myself to someone who never truly appreciated it. Rachel, I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. I said slowly, each word heavy. You can't keep doing this. You can't keep coming to me for money every time you screw up. I can't keep doing this. But you're the only one who can help me, she cried, her voice breaking. I'm not your savior, Rachel. I snapped. I'm not your solution. I can't keep enabling you. The line went silent, and for a moment, I thought the conversation was over. But then Rachel spoke again, her voice small and defeated. I just don't know where else to go. I didn't know what to say to that. It hurt to hear her like this, but I couldn't be her crutch anymore. I had already given her so much, sacrificed so much of myself. And yet, she was still trapped in the same cycle of bad choices. "I'm sorry, Rachel," I said, my voice shaking with emotion. "But I can't do it anymore." That was the moment I realized something deep down, something that had been gnawing at me for years. Rachel wasn't just someone I had to save. She was someone who would never be saved, no matter how hard I tried. She wasn't the person I wanted her to be, and no amount of money or sacrifice from me would change that. I had to let her go. And with that, I let go of a part of myself to my need to fix everything. My desire to always make things right. I couldn't fix her. I couldn't fix us anymore. The truth was clear now. Some things aren't meant to be fixed. And some people, no matter how much you love them, will never change. It's strange how life moves forward, even when you feel like you've been left behind. After that phone call with Rachel, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had broken inside me, something I couldn't fix. The weight of her betrayal lingered, heavy on my chest, a constant reminder of how far I'd gone to try and save someone who never truly wanted to be saved. The days after the call were a blur. I tried to focus on work, tried to get back to my normal routine, but everything felt off. My thoughts kept drifting back to Rachel and the mess she had created. I thought I had done the right thing by helping her after all. She was my sister. But now, every time I looked at my bank account or reflected on how I had stretched my finances to bail her out, I felt like I had made a terrible mistake. It wasn't just the money, it was everything else. The lies, the broken promises, the constant cycle of bad decisions. It was like Rachel was a force that sucked up everything in her path, leaving nothing but destruction behind. And yet, no matter how much damage she caused, she always came back for more, like a storm that never stopped. A week passed, and I heard nothing from her. I was almost grateful for the silence. I needed time to breathe, to process everything that had happened. But then, the unexpected happened. One evening, I got a notification on my phone. It was a bank alert. At first, I ignored it, too tired to check. But then, another notification came, and another. My heart started racing as I saw the numbers, large withdrawals. Amounts that I had never authorized. It hit me like a punch to the gut. Rachel had somehow been making payments I had never agreed to. She had been using the money I gave her for something else entirely. The $40,000 wasn't just going to pay off her debts, as I had thought. It was being funneled to the same people she had gotten involved with in her shady business venture. Those people, the ones she had promised she was done with, she was still paying them off. I could feel my blood boiling as I scrolled through the transactions. These weren't small amounts. They were sizable payments, monthly installments that had drained me even further. She had taken my money and used it to fuel more lies, more bad choices. She hadn't even tried to change. She was still deep in the mess I had hoped she would escape from. I couldn't breathe. How could she do this to me? After everything I had done for her, this was how she repaid me. By lying again. By continuing the cycle of deception and destruction. Without thinking, I called her. My hands were shaking as the phone rang, and when she finally picked up, I didn't even give her a chance to speak. "Rachel, what the hell is going on?" I demanded, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. "Why are there payments coming out of my account? What did you do?" There was a long silence before she finally spoke. "I'm sorry," she said softly, almost like she was ashamed. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way. I was trying to fix it. But I made things worse." I could feel the rage bubbling up inside me. "You lied to me, Rachel. You told me you were paying off your debt. You said this was the last time you needed help. And now I find out that you've been using my money to pay off the people who scammed you in the first place. I was trying to get out, Sarah. I didn't know how else to fix it. I thought if I just paid them off, everything would be okay. I didn't want you to know. I didn't want to drag you back into it." she said, her voice barely a whisper. But it was too late. She had already dragged me back in, deeper than ever. The trust I had left for her was shattered, and no matter how many apologies she gave me, it would never be enough. Rachel, this has to stop, I said, my voice shaking with frustration. I can't keep doing this. I've already given you everything I have. I can't give you more. I won't. I'm sorry, she repeated, over and over again, like a broken record. But I was done. I hung up the phone, my body trembling with a mix of anger and sorrow. I knew in that moment that I had to let go. I had given Rachel every chance I could. I had sacrificed my own happiness, my own financial stability, to try and help her. But she had taken that help, twisted it, and used it to continue her spiral of self-destruct. That night, I sat in silence, staring at the empty space around me. It wasn't just the money that hurt. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the realization that I had wasted so many years trying to save someone who didn't want to be saved. I couldn't change her. I couldn't fix her. And I had to stop trying. The hardest part of all of this was acknowledging that no matter how much I loved her, Rachel was never going to be the person I wanted her to be. She was stuck in a cycle of bad choices, and I couldn't pull her out of it anymore. I had tried. I had given everything I had, and in return, all I had was an empty feeling inside, a feeling of loss, of regret, and of knowing that some battles were never meant to be won. I sat there, staring into the distance, wondering what would come next. For the first time in my life, I didn't know the answer, but I knew one thing. It was time to start living for myself again. Moral: sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, you have to let them go. You can't fix people who don't want to change, and in the end, you have to protect yourself even if it means walking away. Have you ever had to walk away from a toxic relationship or family member? Share your story in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more dramatic family tales.